let's get started. So we got some great news for you here at Hostaway. We are the leading all-in-one short-term rental solution for property managers. I just had a meeting with our COO and I asked, how many people do we employ these days? And he said we have 240 staff in 51 countries, which is way more than I thought, because I thought we were in 44 countries. But globally, we're the market leader when it comes to vacation rental software. We're also a preferred plus partner with Airbnb and lead partner with Vrbo, a premier partner with Booking.com, and we're integrated with Homes and Villas, Expedia, and Google Travel. So yes, that's who we are. If you're looking for a vacation rental software solution, feel free to reach out. But if you're looking for one that is integrated with QuickBooks, this is the place to be. So let's go to the next slide. So why QuickBooks Online? We found out that a large amount of our customers are using QuickBooks for accounting. Even the ones who have completely outsourced their accounting to an accounting firm tend to use QuickBooks. And that's why we built out this integration. So by synchronizing Hostaway with QuickBooks, you don't need to enter or edit your reservation data anymore manually, or export it in a CSV, which might change later if in case you give refunds or a guest extends their stay, or there's damage deposits, anything like that. All will be synchronized with QuickBooks automatically. Also, QuickBooks has a lot of tools for SMB businesses that are really useful. For example, budgeting and forecasting. It can generate your balance sheet, your profit and losses. These are documents that are not always that important in day-to-day operation when the washer breaks down or the pool heater isn't working. But when it's time to for example go through a tax audit, or when it's time to ask for a loan from a bank, or get an investor on board, or start working with a new partner, suddenly these documents become really important. And it's good if they're actually correct so they can be audited. And that's why QuickBooks is a great solution for that. Also, we have built this connection with property managers in mind. When we have been researching this for a couple of years on how to build this connection. Maria's team has been leading that. And there's a lot of different ways that QuickBooks can help property managers. For example, you can use it to create invoices for guests and owners, and any additional data you have in Hostaway that is relevant to anyone from an accounting point of view, staff point of view, reporting point of view, owner or guest point of view. You can include that as well. So it's a very flexible integration, and I'm proud to present here our VP of Product, Maria. Why don't you take it from here?
Thank you, Marcus, as always. Hello, everyone. Today, I'm just going to walk you through the features that our Hostaway QuickBooks integration has to offer. We will be evolving it in the future with your feedback. And at the end, I'm just going to do a quick demo as well and show you all the functionality and how it actually looks in the dashboard. Even if time permits, I will probably also show you how to create an invoice, how it actually creates an invoice on QuickBooks as well. Just to add a little bit to what Marcus said, QuickBooks, and if you join this webinar, you probably use QuickBooks, or you have heard about QuickBooks. QuickBooks Online is the preferred accounting software for small, medium, big-sized businesses across the world. And basically, we did this integration, as Marcus said, because we want Hostaway to be the only software you will need to use to run your business, right? We automate property management today. We automate your distribution through a channel manager. And now with this QuickBooks integration, we are also automating further the financial reporting. So it's something that we add on top of our financial reporting and owner statements products. Maybe if you go to next slide, please. It's already there. Thank you very much. So a few of the features that it has. With this integration, you will be able to automate the invoice generation in QuickBooks. The objective here is to eliminate manual entry data, basically manual data entry, to reduce errors as much as possible. So say goodbye to spreadsheets, say goodbye to manual uploading of invoices into QuickBooks. As I mentioned earlier, this is part of the financial reporting product stack, and it has been built, the integration has been built on the back of the financial data aggregation from all the channels that we provide through our financial reporting tool, and also uses the financial formulas that you have already set in the system. So there's not a lot that you need to do in order to start working with this integration and start creating invoices in QuickBooks. We are calculating that by automating this today, we will probably save you around 3 to 5 minutes per data entry. So for those of you that have a large number of invoices to create, that's definitely going to be a super time saver. In the next slides, another feature that we are providing with this integration, you will be able to track all your listings and financial data. Basically, what it means is that you will be able to easily map listings to classes. For anyone that is not familiar with classes in QuickBooks, a class represents kind of a meaningful part of your company. What I have seen other customers that are already testing the integration, working with it, is that they create a listing. A listing is a class for them in QuickBooks, which makes sense. And financial fields to services as well. So you will map those to services. A service in QuickBooks is a reservation, for instance, to help you keep a more precise and organized financial reporting at the end of the day. We also give you synchronization control. So you are allowed, and if you go to the next slide, please, you're allowed to decide what data gets sent and when. So you can push information to QuickBooks, either you can do it automatically, you can also do it manually, or you can do it as well upon editing a financial field of a reservation as well. You can choose whatever works best for your workflow. And then finally, in this first version of the product, you will be able to send custom invoice information. So in QuickBooks, you can create custom fields. We will import those custom fields to Hostaway, and you can use dynamic data from reservations to fill in those variables, those custom fields, and send those to automatically to QuickBooks to enhance your invoices, right? So you can add key details like check-in dates, channel names, and many more things, whatever it is that you need to add to an invoice. So that's on the features. If you pass me the share control, I think I can show you how it looks like in our application. All right, so QuickBooks is going to be a paid-for product, but we have a offer on until the March 31st, 2025, with a 50% off for your first 6 monthly payments. So if you're planning to use QuickBooks, do it now, because from March 31st, this offer will not be available. The final price is, with this subscription offer, is $4 per listing. Then after that, it will be $8 per listing. So to connect to QuickBooks from Hostaway is very simple. You just go to Financial Reporting, find QuickBooks in your submenu, and click on Connect. You need to have an account with QuickBooks. You can create an account before, and you actually should create an account before connecting from QuickBooks. The only thing you need to do then is click here, connect to QuickBooks. And if you're already logged into your account, it shouldn't take no more than a few seconds. That's done, and it goes back to the Hostaway dashboard. If you weren't logged in, you will have to enter your username and password, and again, it would come back to Hostaway. So very easy connection there. The first thing that you will see here is a list of all your reservations. These tables are also common in financial reporting. You're very familiar with these tables. You will have a set of filters here to manage this data. You have a lot of data. And what is important to see here is that you will be able to see the synchronization status of the reservation. So whether an invoice has been created, not created, is updated in QuickBooks, and when was the last update. But that will happen after you go to, you configure the settings for the QuickBooks, and QuickBooks integration in that way. So there are 3 different types of settings: general settings, listing settings, and financial settings. In the general settings, you basically set basic information of your account. We will import your account details, basically these 2 fields: company name, email address. In in here, it's important to decide what's going to be the synchronization option I mentioned earlier. Is going to you can decide whether it's automatic or also resends upon reservation modification. So if there is an addition of the financial fields of a reservation, you can also automate that update as well in QuickBooks, or just do it manually if that's how you work. But obviously, default and our recommendation is that you do it automatically. You can set some general invoice settings, set invoice date to when the invoice is due date, and some more details. Marcus mentioned at the beginning that we build this with the property managers in mind. Obviously, you can create invoices for guests, for owner, for other as well. It's something that you configure on QuickBooks as well. Some note to the customer. So there's basically notes that you can add to the invoice on QuickBooks. And then, as I mentioned, we will import any custom fields that you have created in QuickBooks, and you can use that. For instance, I have a custom field called check-in time in QuickBooks. So I search for a dynamic variable in Hostaway, and for every reservation, it will take the check-in time of that reservation and it will update the invoice with that custom field, with that value. Other settings, listing settings. Basically, in this screen, you will be able to decide which listings are synchronized with QuickBooks, or which reservations are going to be sent for which listings. You can subscribe all of the listings, or you can decide and go for 1, 2, 3, whatever. You can do it manually. And then, as I mentioned earlier, you can assign a class. I don't have a class in my test account, but a class for many of our customers could be basically a listing as well. So it's a part of your company, a property of your company. You can use tags as well to find listings, etc. And at all times, we're giving you a ton of information on how to use this as well, and explanations on the different terminology from QuickBooks. Now, this is the juicy part, the important part, the financial settings, right? So now you use the settings to basically match what you do in QuickBooks with this integration. So in Hostaway, we always want to provide as much flexibility as possible, because we know that you operate in different ways. You may have different models. You may use different third-party tools in different ways. So we were thinking very hard about how to do this, and we now provide main ways to create invoices in QuickBooks, and they all have different reasons. So the first one is the ability to send a custom list of line items. With this option, you can send one or more line items using formulas to define the components of your financial data. What that means is, for example, you can create a breakdown like accommodation plus fees less commissions, or send specific items like property manager payout. The total will be reflected in the sum of these components. So I could select here, for instance, let's say total payout. I'm just making this up, right? Something like this, and then you decide whether these add or subtract. Sorry, someone's calling me. Right, perfect timing. So with this option, actually, it adapts to all of use cases. Example of use cases there. Report the total net payout that is expected for every reservation, which is ideal for reconciliation. Only report the part that corresponds to the property manager, so property manager payout in that case. So you can use it to directly reflect your income, for instance. Only report the part that corresponds to the owner payout as an owner statement invoice. Other use cases could be only accounting accommodation, or fees or taxes could be covered. So the system, if you use it this way, is highly adaptable. If you use several formulas to separate it down, you will definitely get a more granular report that can be kind of instrumental in your bookkeeping, right? As well as to obtain some accurate profit and loss breakdowns, things like that. Now, the other option available to you is send a reservation line item. So basically, this is the breakdown of the reservation financial fees of a reservation. You would use this if you prefer to send the financial data exactly as we show them in the reservation, so corresponding to what the guest paid. You can choose to send the reservation line items as they are. With this option, the system will send the breakdown reflecting what the guest paid, but it will not include several line items for commissions from channels or payment processors. I think that this option is ideal for customers who want to send the simplest form of financial data to QuickBooks Online without any additional customization or breakdowns. And if you're thinking about this option, if you need to customize and create compliant invoices in QuickBooks that need to accurately reflect what the guest paid. So in here, you will see all of the breakdown of all the different reservation fields that you have in Hostaway from the different channels. So again, this works in combination with financial reporting, with the aggregation of data, financial data with financial reporting. You can also add services. I mentioned what services were at the beginning. A service basically is a type of product or item that a business sells to its customers, but it's actually QuickBooks. They describe it as intangible, so right. So it's not a physical product. A service then in this case would be something like rental, or for a cleaning fee that would be cleaning, something in that line. You can create a default QuickBooks service for all of the line items, but I think most of our customers and the customers that I see trialing, they are creating different services per line item category, per line item type. All right, so once I have all my configuration, I can click Save. And I go back to my QuickBooks where I have my listings, and let's see if I'm missing something. I have tried this many times today and probably I broke something. It's a test account, that's always. But it should automatically synchronize these reservations that we have here and create invoices in QuickBooks. So that's it. That's how it works today. We have already a few customers already testing this. The feedback so far is pretty positive. So if you want to try it out, you know where to start. Marcus, back to you.
All right, and yeah, let's go to the QA section. I saw a lot of the questions are being posted in the chat. It's quite hard for us to find them there, so please copy your question and put them in the Q&A section. So there's, first of all, Karen has asked if the price is for the integration or does it include the QuickBooks subscription. So it does not include the QuickBooks subscription. That the price of QuickBooks to use as a tool depends completely on your size of business, your scope, the functionality you choose, and even the location where you are. The reason we decided to charge separately for this integration is very simple. There's many of our customers who don't use QuickBooks, and we feel that it would be unfair to bundle that, the cost of that, into their subscription as well. So that's why this has a separate fee. Now, the good news is that as adoption grows, it provides a distinguished revenue source, which allows us to expand the integration and make continuous improvements on that, because the money can be earmarked for that. And then let me see. Maria, would you like to take some questions here?
There's a question from Amilu. Says that when a listing is removed from Hostaway, will the past financial data be retained in Hostaway and on QuickBooks, or just QuickBooks? So data will be in QuickBooks for sure, but in Hostaway, we're actually working on keeping that financial data as well. So we will have more news on this first half of the year. I want to bring this as a possibility for the product as well.
Here's a good question. Question for me, Hab, is there a way to tie the invoice with an existing payment? I guess we're referring here to the payment status. So how does QuickBooks know if a reservation is paid or not?
So that, for the time being, it has to be managed in QuickBooks. This first version of the product only sends the line items, the financial line items of a reservation to QuickBooks to create the invoice. The actual update of the invoice happens in QuickBooks.
All right, then Julie asked if we still need a third-party processor such as Stripe. So QuickBooks is an accounting solution. It has nothing to do. Actually, Carla also asked what credit card processing is being used. So QuickBooks doesn't process credit cards. It's not a payment processor. It's an accounting solution. And if you're using an outside accountant already, it's very likely that they are using QuickBooks to run your business, and you can just ask them. And actually, if you're paying them a monthly fee, if they're able to get the data automatically from Hostaway, they should be able to give you a substantially lower price, because most of the work that they do is just manually putting in the right data and getting it to add up. But if they can remove the manual part, their services will become substantially cheaper. But yes, the credit card processing has nothing to do with this. That's for that you need a credit card processing or a bank. Well, Stripe is what we recommend for credit card processing. Then here's a good question from Mark. Can the QuickBooks invoices take the place of the Hostaway invoices in the guest portal?
So if you want to use QuickBooks for invoicing guests, yes, you can. So, but you can also use our invoices. I think on QuickBooks, the invoices will probably have more or kind of better compliance details than what we have today in the guest portal, which are more like a receipt, more rather than an invoice. But in the future, we're also working, we'll be working on making these invoices better on the Hostaway side as well.
All right, then quite a good question here from Heather as well. Will the maintenance tasks show itemized with the charges? For example, will it show $50 for a fixed dishwasher instead of just $50 maintenance?
Depends how you set those up in the expenses report as well. But let me look into this case. I think that it really depends on how you set it up on the expenses report. One thing that I want to show again, if you don't mind me, Marcus, to show again, because I missed a step and I want to make sure that everybody understands how it works.
Sure, go ahead.
Yep, I'm on it. Can you guys see my screen?
No.
Not yet. I guess I need to click share.
Now again, yes.
All right, so one step that I missed, sorry about that. So when you select the listings, the first time that you want to synchronize the reservation data is kind of a manual step. So you go to QuickBooks settings and click on listing settings. So select the listings that are subscribed to the synchronization in QuickBooks. Go back to QuickBooks to the list of reservations, select the reservations. You can select all of reservations or the ones that are the ones that you want to synchronize. Will not select already synchronized reservations. But the first time you have to send it manually to QuickBooks. And then after that, it will be automatically updated with every new reservation. So now you can see that I actually created some invoices previously. Now it's updated, and now the new ones are in syncing status, and it provides you the last update as well. And when these reservations are already synced or invoices created in QuickBooks, it will say here updated. That's a step that I made. Sorry about that.
Is it possible to attach more than one QuickBooks account? That's a really good question.
For the time being, only one account per customer.
An important one from Alan, though, is QuickBooks able to retrieve past history from our Hostaway records?
Yes. So what you saw here in the presentation is basically reservations that already existed in my account. So, and that's why the first update is manual. So you can choose, you may have, if you come from another service, you might have used QuickBooks in another place, you might have invoices for those reservations. So In the first update, what you're actually doing is synchronizing historical data. And then after the first update, we will synchronize every new reservation that comes through the system.
All right. So still quite a few questions. You can take some more, Maria.
So questions are moving here. Can you talk more about tracking owner expenses, permit fees, etc., that are not related to a guest reservation? So again, I think that's a little bit the first use case that I showed here, send a custom list of line items, because in that regard, you create different type of invoices for different purposes, that for your providers, for your cleaning companies, for anything. So it's not really an invoice that needs to show a detailed breakdown of the reservation, but rather is kind of an owner statement or a statement or an invoice for a provider. I can show it again if that's okay. So what I think the question is referring to is to this first option, right? So you can use the formulas in the system to create invoices for many different purposes for whatever it is that you use QuickBooks. Whilst in the second option, in this option, you basically create an invoice with a breakdown of what the guest paid, which is something that you may use for your guests as well, and use QuickBooks to send invoices to them.
All right. There's a good question here about our product roadmap that I think only Maria can answer. Can you talk more about tracking owner expenses, for example, permit fees or maintenance that's not related to a certain reservation?
Yes,
Do
that's
we
what.
have functionality for that in Hostaway, and how does that work?
Yes, what is that? This is what I just explained, right? So is this option here, this send a custom list of line items. So you have two ways of creating invoices. You can do it on a flexible way, right? So that matches whatever it is that you need to do in QuickBooks, and you can use the Hostaway formulas for that. Or you can basically create a invoice with a breakdown of financial settings or financial fields of a reservation, which basically represents what the guest paid.
Here's a good question from Susie. What does QuickBooks provide to us that Hostaway financial software already gives to us? Or maybe you meant what we don't offer.
So precisely that's ability. Well, this is if you use QuickBooks, the biggest value here is this connection of the data that you have in Hostaway to be sent automatically integrates with QuickBooks. So it's saving you time from downloading this information from Hostaway, putting it in a spreadsheet, and manually creating invoices in QuickBooks. For if you're not using QuickBooks, you may want to use QuickBooks to enhance these reports, because owner statements are owner statements. So as the previous question, what about providers? What about any other company or service or entity that I need to create an invoice or a statement for? So it enlarges the use case in that case. So it makes the use case bigger.
Yeah, for example, if you provide interior design services, that is something that you could invoice through QuickBooks. This is not directly related to the property management aspect. And of course, there's the whole accounting side of it. I mean, when you need to produce your annual statements or even a balance sheet of your business, that's something that QuickBooks can do, that Hostaway can't do. But the main reason why we developed this is that so many of our customers are already using QuickBooks, and this will save a lot of time for those who are using it.
There's a question here from Mark. My owner statement formulas need a beginning and an end date to work. I don't see an option to add that in your custom list of line items. Is that correct? How do they run without this information? I'm not sure if you're referring to this invoice settings here, the set invoice dates or the invoice due dates. But those are possible to be set in the general settings.
All right. And then there was a question about the pricing here. Could you, Maria, share again what the promo pricing is and what the pricing will be after the promo?
Yes, with the promo, we are giving 50% until March, March 31st. So the first 6 months of the of adopting this product will be 50%, and that's $4. After that, the price is $8 per listing.
All right, thank you. Then there was a question about general support. So Hostaway will obviously help you set up and make sure that the connection works very well. But any functionality within QuickBooks itself, if you buy the solution QuickBooks from them, then they will support with that. So if you want your let's say income statement to look a certain way, or you have a question on how to generate an income statement, that's something that we can't help with because we are not QuickBooks. But when it comes to making sure that the correct data is synchronized between these two platforms, that's something that we will help with because we built the connection, and QuickBooks wouldn't even be able to assist on that. And our customer success team is eagerly waiting to help you set this up for those who are interested. So you can always reach out on customersuccess@hostaway.com.
So there's another question. If we do the integration, do we support from Hostaway or Intuit? Will Hostaway assist us in the setup? So as far as integrating Hostaway with QuickBooks, our team kind of will be happy to help. We actually have a ton of documentation, our user guide. We link to a lot of information in QuickBooks as well. However, our expertise will end when it comes to setting an app and using QuickBooks, right? So it's itself, and definitely I would recommend their support for that. They are the experts on their products and how to set different things. Also, QuickBooks is quite a large piece of software, right? So we support the QuickBooks Online plans, by the way. We definitely recommend the Plus plan in QuickBooks, and yeah, I think for details on QuickBooks support is, and they have a ton of documentation, definitely reviews. They have a ton of step-by-step guides on how to do things on QuickBooks, which definitely recommend you guys use.
All right, Keith has a question here. He has two separate businesses. While we cannot connect multiple QuickBooks accounts, what you can do in QuickBooks is manage multiple businesses in one QuickBooks account. He wanted to ask about the data, and if I were to take a guess, I think it's done on a listing level, so the data would automatically go to the right account. Do you happen to know that, Maria?
Nope. I think that, but there was a similar question about the data. So when can we use actually time frames for the data? So you can select here in the main screen with all the reservations list. You have a bunch of filters that you can select by date. For instance, if you only want to import for the first time the 2024 data, 2023 data, whatever it is, you can use the filters and then just click and send to QuickBooks the data that you want. So it's fully controllable by you in that case.
All right, then there was a question on whether this works with Clearing, which is one of our marketplace partners. It should, because they also integrate with QuickBooks. But please do reach out to them since they built the integration to both QuickBooks and to us. Susie is asking if we have this information on this call in Spanish. That's a great point. Maria, when do we start doing our webinars in Spanish?
Whenever. Lo puedo hacer ya si quieres, pero bueno, quizá en otra ocasión.
Yeah, I guess we'll start doing them in French and Italian as well at some point. But
Very soon.
But yeah, we are expanding a lot internationally, and in many of our biggest markets, Spanish is quite a prominent language. So we are in the process of translating the dashboard and the mobile app into Spanish, and also provide more support, dedicated support in Spanish for those who are interested. So our world expansion is going well. There's been a couple of questions here. I don't know if you, Maria, happen to know the answer. but specifically on Airbnb, first of all, the amount of money coming in on a bank account that QuickBooks can recognize is, of course, it doesn't include, that's just the amount that's paid out. It doesn't include the breakdown. Is that something that then can come from Hostaway? And then a few people asked about the resolution center on Airbnb. Let's say if there's a payout from there, how does that work?
So I think those are, you're touching on plans for the future, Marcus. So definitely something that we want to think about. And I think in the last webinar and the product roundup, we did mention trust accounting and more accounting capabilities for the future, right? So reconciliation is key for all these things. So having the payouts from the channels, from your banks, etc. It's definitely something that we want to work for in the future and in the near future. So I'm hoping that by the end of 2025, we have a first version of a trust accounting product.
All right. I see the rest of the questions are probably better suited if you reach out to our customer success team. So I posted here in the chat, if there was one good question, what if you have feedback about the integration, then yeah, please use our community or just contact support with the feedback. Now, if you want to get started or try out the connection or need help setting it up, then the customer success team can be reached always at customersuccess@hostaway.com. And yeah, that's it. Maria, do you have anything to add before we end?
Nothing to add. I think there was something, maybe if you allow me to share again very quickly, how it looks like in QuickBooks. Again, this is a test account, but basically the invoices that the reservation that we synchronize in Hostaway, remember that the financial settings that we had was send the reservation line items. I added some services here, created these invoices in QuickBooks. And it's a matter of seconds, really. It's super fast. And I'm owed a lot of money, apparently.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. Hope you're excited, and see you next month.
See you, everyone. Thank you very much.
See you. Bye.
Bye.